Reed Sheppard of the Houston Rockets. The way that Bryce and I did the final 4 names on our list, we agreed on the top. We had 20 guys on the 24 lists that we had, the 24 person list that we had. So I got to pick 2 and Bryce got to pick 2. I picked Reed as one of my 2. I understand that this is going to be controversial. This might look stupid in a year. It might look stupid next week for all I know. I don't know. But Reed Sheppard, to me, is everything that the NBA is currently looking for in terms of passing, playmaking, and elite level shooting. Think about the fact that Reed Sheppard is probably the best shooting prospect to enter the NBA since Steph, right? The guy made 52.1% from 3 this season. He is an awesome, awesome, awesome shooter off the catch, off the dribble. At Summer League, he showcased that he was way farther ahead as a point guard, as a distributor, and in ball screens than what anybody expected. His ability to get to his spot in the mid-range and knock down pull-up jumpers was incredible. And he made a number of super high-level cross-corner kick-out passes, dump-off passes, wrap-around passes. He was extremely, extremely impressive at Summer League. Everything that you hoped for that could translate looked like it was translating. The thing with Reed is that I just said that this might end up being too high for Reed. We might end up looking stupid by the end of his rookie year. Bryce, this also might look way too low for Reed by the end of his rookie year, because if he's able to come in and be like a dynamic overall offensive player who is a 50% 3-point shooter, let's even say 45% 3-point shooter, which is 7% lower than what he shot last year, which is a number of fewer made threes, is able to make passes at the level we saw. Feel for the game, shooting, creativity, dynamism, like all this stuff is just kind of here for Reed, even if he only is 6'2", right? And that's the big concern, is just the size, right? So this was my opinion. So I'll ask you, where was Reed on your list? I think you were way lower than I was personally. But this was my choice. Anybody that's looking to blame someone, blame me. This is me.
or give you credit if that's the way it plays out. So just to clarify, we each made our own list of 24. Of our list of 24, 20 guys were the same on both of our lists. And then of the 8 or whatever that were left, Sam picked 2, I picked 2. I'm okay with this. I just was not willing to put any 2024 draft guys just in general. Like I know we saw Summer League. We haven't seen him play in the NBA. So I just stayed away from it in general. I don't know. So I don't know where I would have had Reed if I would have even considered this class. One thing I will say that I adamantly agree with you on is, if he is able to be the on-ball guy that we saw in Summer League, if he's able to translate into that NBA, and it doesn't even have to be this year, but if he's able to do that eventually, then we are going to look silly for not having him higher. Because that was always my thing about Reed's ceiling, was what was he able to do on ball? Was he this creative passer, operate ball screens, get to his spots? The most impressive thing at Summer League was what he did right there, which was the mid-range jumper. The mid-range jumper, I thought, really, really stood out, along with some of the passes. I think defensively, he's going to have to do, if you're watching on YouTube, what he did right there, where he dug at the ball and created a turnover that way. I still have some concerns just holding up physically, but if he can be that on-ball guy, some of those things are limited in terms of my concerns with those.
3.2 stocks per game at Kentucky this season was absolutely ridiculous in terms of being able to get his hands on the ball, make plays defensively. On the ball, on defense, I think he's a real issue a lot of the time. And also off the ball at times.
He's
on
very
defense.
ball watchy.
he gets a little bit like space cadet-y, trying to watch the ball and like will lose track of his man a little bit too often. I still think that the instincts are there for such a young player to where it's going to be fine eventually. And that he'll settle into just kind of knowing how to best utilize his skill set and his hands offensively. He has like the fastest hands and like the best hand-eye coordination I think I've seen in a prospect in a long time. I am a big believer in Reed Sheppard just being like a real dude. At the end of the day, you look at the guys who have hit, like really, really hit and broken beyond what people thought their perceived ceiling was coming into the NBA. Jalen Brunson, it's like unbelievable footwork, unbelievable touch, being able to drive. And Jalen's like a totally different dude because he's built like a Mack truck, right? And like, you know, his shoulders, he bounces off of guys and things like that. But it's skill, it's touch, and it's feel for the game. You talk to people at Villanova about Jalen Brunson, they'll tell you like one of the smartest players that they've ever had around their program, just point blank. Austin Reeves, skill, feel for the game, touch, right? Tyrese Maxey, unbelievable speed for sure, but skill, feel for the game, touch. All these dudes that went, 23 and lower, and, Desmond Bain goes 30th and ends up providing way more value because of that ability to fire from three. Having guys like this who can just fire from three all the time, they always have this intense value on the court to me. I mean, if he ends up hitting like Tyrese Halliburton is another example of a guy like this where it's super skill, super feel for the game, unbelievable touch. I don't know. I think Reed is just exceptionally dynamic at the end of the day. And I just like really, really believe in Reed Sheppard at a level maybe beyond what I should.
No, and we talked about this before he got drafted. Every time we'd mock him to the Rockets, once the Rockets took him, we also talked about how there's so much talent, right? So it's, maybe we don't see this play out in year one because of all that talent and Fred VanVleet's still there and all of that. I think he's in a good situation defensively with some of the other defenders they have on that team, specifically Amin Thompson, who we will talk about at some point moving forward. And I think it allows him not to have to guard the primary offensive player on the other end. He can play a little bit of a roamer role where I do think he could, yes, get ball watching, but also jump passing lanes. I don't think he'll block the number of jump shots he blocked in college, but those will become really, really good contests on perimeter jump shots from Reed Sheppard, digging in off the ball, all of those things. Just kind of the playmaking he can do on the defensive end, I think will really, really show up. So I'm fine with it, to be honest. Like, I'm fine with it. I just wasn't comfortable going there with anybody in this draft class.
Yeah, I get it. Like, this draft was kind of a mess. Next year is going to be different. I'm sure Cooper Flagg will end up exceptionally high on a list like this that we do next year, right? Cooper is unbelievable and is something that we haven't seen in terms of a two-way player. It was like a forward in a while. Bigs are a little bit of a different ball game, but in terms of being able to make plays at that level as a forward, I think it's a little bit different. Reed's the guy right now that I believe in from that draft at the end of the day.